Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello, everybody. Welcome to After the Show. Hello, Sid Talk, my fine co-host. Hello.
I love this new energized start of the weeks now. I'm fine. Did you ask me how I am? I'm fine.
Are you
how
having a stroke?
No. I just wasn't listening very close, so...
You're like, my brain is not working.
I heard your enthusiasm. I didn't hear the words that were coming out, so okay. I'm good.
Do you need any assistance?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
What was the before the after the show discussion?
There wasn't much. You talked a little bit about audio, which we can all say is super riveting, so we're not going to go there.
I love audio. I could talk about it all day.
We talked about this movie a little bit and sort of like the concept of, you know, someone our age reflecting on it fondly, the memories of the 80s, and someone who's younger being like, wow, was it really like that in the 80s? They have lots of other references to the 80s than this movie, but yeah, that was our discussion.
So it is Friday, October the 13th.
Correct.
Friday the 13th to all you horror hounds.
I don't know if it's just horror people who have a thing about Friday the 13th.
Oh, it's just superstitious people.
Yeah.
People with superstitious tendencies. Like Elvis. Elvis was superstitious. Did you know that?
No.
I don't know why I know that.
I don't know.
But I do.
I'm not sure why it popped into your mind, which I think that's really funny.
This is After the Show. We're a movie review podcast. And on episode 808, we're looking at the movie Totally Killer. It's a 2023 movie. You can watch it now, streaming on Amazon Prime. It's from Blumhouse and Amazon, rated R. And Sid Talk will give us the synopsis of Totally Killer.
First of all, you don't say totally killer. You say like, oh, totally killer, man. Totally killer. That's the idea.
I'm doing the British version.
The British radio announcer version. Mm-hmm. Horror movie mixed with time travel. And the time travel takes you to the 80s.
That's Totally Killer, man.
That's totally.
All right, I'll give you
It is a spoiler alert, but you shouldn't be listening to this if you haven't seen it. So, just saying. And probably on the cover, it somehow hints at...
It actually doesn't, to be fair.
No.
No.
Well, then I've ruined it for everyone.
You have. Maybe
because I had no idea. Did you have any idea?
I did not have an idea because I didn't watch the trailer.
Oh, right on.
All right, I'll give you the one off the box. When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns, 35 years after his first murder spree, to claim another victim, 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back in time to 1987, determined to stop the killer before he can start.
So it is on the box.
Well, if you read the synopsis, yes.
Right. So
if
I'm
you
not
look at the
spoiling
picture, no.
Right.
Totally Killer, Sid Talk, what did you think?
I loved it. The end.
Did you go back in time and then review it?
I've done this podcast already in the past, so if you don't have a way of going back and finding it, that's not really my problem. I really, really enjoyed it. I like horror movies.
Check.
Right? Check. I am coming of age in the 70s and 80s, and therefore watched a lot of movies I probably shouldn't have, and they are woven into the fabric of who I am. So I love horror movies. I'm also of the 80s, so I understand all the references.
Yeah.
And it's just well done. It's fun. I mean, it has a couple of predictable things, which we'll talk about later. So that's a little bit, but I just think everybody was fun and good. And it kept me like, not just like interested in the story, because I was pretty sure where we were going ultimately, but I was just interested in like how whoever wrote it, how they pieced things together. So I love that.
It literally is. It's like throwing a load of things in a box and swishing them around. What I noticed were, clearly, Back to the Future. They even say it in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Scream, lots of Scream stuff. Like, oh, who's the killer? Maybe that's not the killer, blah, 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 right?
That's not really Scream necessarily. It's lots of horror movies, but I get what you're saying, because they mention Scream as well.
What else?
There's just all kinds. Obviously, we have the Mollys, who are the Molly Ringwalds
John
of the
Hughes
80s.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And those funny, like, differences between the 80s and now.
the awful stuff. Like, it was acceptable to be a complete bully, racist, sexist creep.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying it was acceptable to everyone or that we accepted it. It's just that when she travels back, so she's a teenager going back to the 80s, and everywhere she turns, it's like, really? Really? This was acceptable then?
I like the security at the high school where she's like, do you not want to check on that or something?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The old lady's like, no, it is the person.
Yeah, if you go, I can even get into the school that I have. I mean, I only went to, my high school's been torn down since the 80s. I graduated in 86, so I graduated a year before this movie's past is set, right? Back in the day, yeah, you could literally just walk in the high school, go to the secretary's office and say, I need to pull Sid Talk out of school for the rest of the day. And she'd be like, okay. And then she would go to whatever class I'm in and tell me, and then I could leave. And that was it. Nowadays, I can't even get into the school that is replaced my old schools because they're all gone. My elementary, my junior high, and my high school. You stand outside, there's a camera and a door lock. Unless you have business there, they don't buzz you in. They'll say, can we help you? From outside. Yeah. Very different. So we kind of point out that, which I think is
the mom smoking in the car with the two kids in the back seat.
Oh, I lived it. I lived it.
With the windows shut.
Oh, yeah. Don't you roll that window down.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, so it's full of that kind of humor. It's kind of silly, but it's not too, like, smart-arsey. At first, I was thinking, this is going to be one of those smart-arsey, like, quippy things.
Yeah.
But it didn't really do that. It didn't go that far. There was just funny stuff along the way. But then when it turns to horror, which this movie is a horror movie, slasher movie at that, it doesn't shy away from that.
It doesn't suffer from either thing.
No. People are getting stabbed and it's violent and, you know, it's like a proper horror movie.
It's funny and violent at the same time.
Which you could say that about Scream as well. Scream does have an element of humour to it, doesn't it? Aside from the murder.
Yeah.
It is like other things.
Just like this movie is making science fiction / time travel combined with horror.
It goes from like 0 to 100 very quickly. It's like, starts off like a slasher movie. Oh, there was these girls that were murdered. And then within 10 minutes, some girl's saying, hey, this is a time machine I'm making. And you're like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
What?
I get
what
it.
The hell?
When she showed the time machine the first time, I was like, that's probably not where it's going, right? We're being funny because she's making a science experiment.
Oh, no, I immediately was like, whoa, this is where we're going. Okay, I scooted up in my seat a little bit.
It literally goes from, this is a slasher movie, and now it's a time travel movie.
Wouldn't you say that also about Cabin in the Woods?
Yes.
That you go from what you think is a thing, and then it isn't, or Dusk Till Dawn, you think it's this, and then it isn't. Like these
is that
movies,
a genre of movies?
They do it very well.
Where they turn the tables on you? Is it the turn the tables genre?
That probably is.
I guess this does do that. If you don't know, like we didn't, you're kind of sat going, huh? Time travel? In this kind of movie?
I mean, I'm not dumb, so I wouldn't sit there and be super confused like this person you're emulating. I was more like, whoa.
Not confused, more, you know, like you when you watch Dusk Till Dawn and you're like, oh, that's what this is now.
Yeah.
We've added a new element to this, let's say.
And I liked it. I loved it, in fact.
Yeah. Found the humor quite funny. Didn't always land. There were some ones where I was like, Some of it was really funny, though. Like, some of the characters are super dumb, but they're supposed to be, like, by design.
A caricature.
Yeah.
Like the coach.
Like the coach?
Who was a jock in high school and real dumb and
the one who always grabs his crotch. Yes. That's his joke.
Yes.
Yeah. That stuff, like that guy had a t-shirt on at the fair that said something kind of rude.
Yes.
I don't know what it said.
FBI, Federal Booby Investigation.
And she goes, dude, that t-shirt's not okay. And he goes, his girlfriend goes, I like that t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, yeah, a lot of the movie is about how different things are.
Makes you feel a little grubby.
Yeah, it does. Because you went through that and maybe didn't notice it. I don't know.
See, when people make fun of the term woke, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not saying everyone was blind or asleep to the times, because I have never been particularly fond of hateful, pushy bully humor or anything like that. Even as a kid, I didn't get it, so it wasn't funny to me or whatever. So you're not like just completely asleep through everything that's bad. And then all of a sudden someone lifts the veil and you're like, oh, I'm woke. And I have to understand how every single thing we can say and do can be bad and harmful and hurtful. And so I have to adjust everything I can do. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't that. It's going like, whoa. I never even had an alternative to thinking that that was funny.
Right.
Or that was acceptable. There was no example or anything outside of what we knew. Even if in your stomach, in the pit of you, you're just like, these people, this thing, whatever. Woke isn't bad, right? Woke is like turning around or looking around and going, oh, like, I don't have to be an asshole.
Right.
Right? I have alternatives to understanding things now. So I feel like that's kind of the direction. It wasn't preachy about things. To me, it wasn't anyway. I didn't feel like it was about any level of the pointing out the flaws of the past. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like it was hammering. Now, some people probably will. And when you get to your 1-star reviews, probably someone will say it's woke, but I feel like it was done just right. It was balanced out really well.
And while it is a mixture of a load of things, it is a new thing. It's not a franchise. It's not a thing that came before.
Yeah, but what did I say?
Oh, you actually thought that it was a sequel, didn't you?
Yeah, it started, and I'm like, oh, is this one of those 80s? Okay, because it's presented in a way. In the beginning, we get this opening voiceover from somebody doing what sounds like, telling you the story. Like, we would call it a podcast, but like a storyteller, right?
Yep.
That these 3 girls were murdered, and then you have these little models of the murder scenes, like little clay models or whatever, in this little opening sequence. And I was like, so, oh my God, I forgot what I was going to say.
Is this something you've already seen before?
Right. Oh my God. You have to leave.
Have you had a stroke today?
You have to leave that. Don't joke about strokes, but you have to leave that in because that is hilarious.
Don't joke about strokes.
So I'm watching this and I'm like, is this supposed to be the catch-up part? This is why I was pretty sure I'd forgotten something because it happens all the time. But I'm like, is this their way of catching us up on a movie that was from the 80s that I'm just didn't ever watch? I mean, I was convinced.
Well, I probably would have filled you in on that before the movie if that was the case. I'm pretty good as a movie-going companion.
True.
I will fill you in.
But I was convinced, so I think that was a really good effect on me because I liked that feeling of like, whoa, whoa, maybe I need to go back and watch the original. Totally killer.
Hey, that would be the twist, that there is an original that nobody knows about.
Oh.
And that's what next year's sequel is. It's the original from 1987.
See?
Yeah. See, I'm better than these writers. And I'm not on strike.
Don't joke about the strike. Oh my God. See, you're doing inappropriate stuff that in 30 years somebody's going to look back and be like, why are you such a dick? You know what I'm saying? Don't be.
So as far as like the rest of the movie, it's a slasher movie. It's full of twists and turns. We won't give anything away of that stuff because it is fun to let it unfold. You know, the things from horror movies, you could call them tropes. A cabin in the woods, a fun fair with a weird haunted house ride.
100%.
At the beginning, a neighborhood setting on Halloween night. You know, they play on all those things. And it feels like there's 3 big things in the movie of like that. And they're all different. So you get this different change of scenery every now and then. And this mystery's unfolding. And then throw time travel into it. It's like the cherry on the top. Right,
that's why you throw all the sameness at it. So it's familiar and comfortable. And then you're like, what?
Yeah.
Time machine.
So I really enjoyed like all the different parts. Moving parts, let's say. But if you don't
That's a whole other movie.
There's a lot of stabbing. If you don't like stabbing, if that makes you wince, this might not be the movie for you.
It did have, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a shooty movie. It's just a stabby movie. So let's move on to the cast. Kiernan Shipka plays Jamie Hughes. She's our heroine. What do you think?
Very good.
She's the, what is she from?
Mad Men's daughter.
Mad Men's daughter, yes. Donald Draper Jr.?
Yeah.
Yes. I thought she was really funny. She's got some really funny... There's that thing in this movie where she goes back in time and all of a sudden she's stood in front of a teenage mum.
Right.
That's always funny to me.
Yep.
Because you're like, oh, that's the person they are.
You mean like Marty McFly?
Yeah. Oh, look, they were a different person.
Lots of references to Back to the Future, yeah.
Yeah. I thought she was funny. Comedy timing is good on her. She has a lot of funny lines in this movie. Julie Bowen plays her adult mother, Pam Hughes. What do you think of Julie?
Yeah, she was good. I mean, we didn't get to see her much. But I was convinced that she was an actress who played this role back in 1987.
Yeah.
Just like Jamie Curtis playing herself, playing Laura now, Lori. You know, when she played it back then, I was like, oh, that's when I was still in the phase of like, is this a sequel? Is this lady from the original movies?
Then we've got Olivia Holt, who plays Pam Miller. She's the teenage version of Jamie's mum. And all the people who did the teenagers were good, I thought.
Yeah.
They're all funny. They were all like caricature-ish and a bit over the top, but it fits with this movie.
It did, yeah.
And who else did I put down? Randall Park as Sheriff Lim, because I like that comedian guy. He's really funny.
He was pretty boring.
I find his delivery funny, especially when we first heard him speak and he was talking about people who they hate the most, categories of people. The sheriffs are talking.
And he said, first we would come in and he's like, old people, sick people, people with dogs. And the guy goes, that's the order. He goes, yeah, that's the order of people I don't like the most. Old people, sick people, and people with dogs.
Yeah, that kind of humor is funny to me. It's Anchorman-ish. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I get you.
This is directed by, you can say that director's name and then I will get off the hook for saying it wrong.
The director is, I can't say it. Nan.
Yeah.
Tachaka
Okay.
Khan. Nantachaka Khan.
Probably just as good as
my apologies if that's incorrect.
She's the director from Fresh Off the Boat, which is a TV show about immigrants from China. Am I right?
I'm not sure whether I've never seen it.
Right. Okay, so what did you think of this director's work? Now, let me say, while this is a film, it's a television movie technically, because it's made for Netflix.
That's not a television movie anymore.
It doesn't go in the theaters.
I don't know what century you're from.
Right.
That doesn't make it a
and
television.
And this person's a television director.
Do you know what's in my hand right this minute?
A television.
No.
A director.
A telephone on which I could watch that movie. Therefore, it is not a television
A cellular telephone.
Yes. A mobile telephone. That means it's just a movie. Let's just break out of the TV movie shit.
All right.
Let's just, unless it's Hallmark, and then we all know.
All right, so this is a movie, and this person did Fresh Off the... What do you think of the direction here?
I just feel like it was all tied together very well. So to me, the project manager, who is the director, creatively getting the best out of people is always a thing that I now really focus on when I'm thinking about who directed it, because a lot of movies are big franchises, and so you don't get the personality, you get the universe of that thing, like Marvel or whatever it is, right? DC or Star Wars or Star Trek, whatever it is. That kind of dictates things a bit more, whereas when you have a person heading the whole project as the director, then you know that in the moments when the director's standing right behind the camera and she's doing her reactions and reacting with people and everyone's doing really good, like the girl who's going into the scary place and she's like, I'm just going in to give a blowjob. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. I'm just going to give a blowjob. Okay, it's no big deal. And she's real kind of like, she's in it. You know what I mean? It's right. That takes a person in charge to get you there, I think, to be very good at it. And I feel like that showed through to me.
All right, let's go to the IMDb reviews. These are people who gave this movie 1 star on IMDb. They didn't like it, whereas we did.
We did.
The first person says, I don't care how many good reviews you've read of this. It's just awful. Talk about slow and dull and boring. A time travel story that is so dry. It's very odd to watch. The acting is really lame. It is awful, awful, awful. Hard pass.
Awful. You mean falafel's in there? I'm all down for falafel.
Second guy says, this is really bad. Combine a time travel Back to the Future movie and make it into a hyper-violent slasher. The writing is the worst I've ever seen. You haven't seen the writing. But hey, I get you. The humor is supposed to come from a 2023 girl facing the behavior of the 80s. But it's so obvious and predictable. It was written by an AI. I think that review was written by an AI, don't you? And then finally, this is too cliched. The slasher genre is nothing new. It's a staple of American popcorn cinema. And that's what makes this bad. The society that actually enjoys this dredge. That's it.
That's what makes it bad.
Yes.
So definitively it's bad.
The society that
And this
makes...
person has generously told us why it's bad.
Uh-huh.
Thanks. Thank you, reviewer with the very funny voice.
Yeah, thank you. So we didn't watch any extras because we watched it on streaming. Let's give this movie a score. Totally Killer. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10.
I'm giving it... Let me go back to my score. I'm giving it 8.8.
Ooh, that's really high.
It's really high. You know why? Because at the end of the year, I want it to be high on my list. Because I really liked it.
Oh.
And I didn't just like it because it's the 80s. I like it because I was entertained and interested and satisfied throughout. So how's that?
Very nice. We'll put that on the box. It was totally killer. I was satisfied throughout.
I didn't say it was totally killer. You added that.
Yes. That's it. Totally killer. We liked it. Next week, we're going to look at another horror movie, but I don't know what it is yet, Sid Talk. So it will be a surprise.
Right on.
I'm still kind of that guy from the 1 out of 10 reviews.
You are here.
It's slipping in. Thank you to Blumhouse Amazon. Movie recommendations. I'm going to give you Scream, the original one. I do think it's a bit long in the tooth now, and it doesn't need to keep being made every year. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
But the first one is really enjoyable. And I'm also going to give you my favorite horror movie from this year so far, and it's Evil Dead Rise.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't know maybe that you are semi-obsessed with Evil Dead.
I am a Deadite.
A Deadite and a Star Warsite.
Yes.
What's the Star Wars people called?
Jedis? Probably.
If you start calling yourself a Jedi, I'm going to be worried.
I
can handle.
do, actually.
Jedi, I would worry.
On my Twitter profile, I am a Jedi. It says I'm a Jedi.
What? Twitter? What's that? That sounds old-fashioned.
Oh, X.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Twitter's so last century.
True.
Or what? No, it wasn't even in the last century. It's so 5 minutes ago. And I am going to recommend things from science fiction since the year 2000, and I'm up to 2021. I'm going to have to farm a few more from my list for the last few weeks of this year, a couple of months, I'd rather. And so I'm up to 2021. This is not to do with quality. It is to do with quantity. Movies I have seen. Godzilla vs. Kong in 2021.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
That was not great.
Not great. The Matrix Resurrections 2021.
That was also not great.
Okay. The Tomorrow War 2021.
That was also not great.
And Tides of 2021.
I don't know what that is.
I don't remember what that is. And Titane.
That was very great.
That was very good. I was getting to the Titane one because Titane is, and I don't say this often, but it's fucked up.
Yes, very good.
I mean, it is. You've got to let your brain go. And I'm not recommending it because it could traumatize people on some level. I don't even know.
It's pretty hardcore.
It is hardcore. I don't remember it being super visually violent, but we know violent things are happening.
There are some real gnarly murders at the beginning.
But we don't want to tell what the thing is. But Titane, it's a subtitled movie, right? It's French.
French, yeah.
Titane.
It's from the lady that did the cannibal one that you like. Which one's that? You know, the French cannibal.
Raw.
Yeah, it's from
that's
that
a good one too.
Yeah.
That's not on my list, but yeah, Raw is also. So Tides, I would have to look into what that was, but it's on my list, so I must have seen it.
Is it the one with Cher?
No. I don't think that was a horror movie.
No.
I know what you're talking.
Yeah, something Tides. Prince of Tides? Is that right? Is that Kevin Costner? I don't know.
I don't think that's right.
Something Tides.
Mermaids?
No, I don't know. Witches of Eastwick?
You're right. Tides isn't something. I think it was Nick Nolte. I don't think it was Cher. Very different.
Similar. I mean, there's a resemblance.
I'm looking it up.
Okay, I'll listen to your type.
Tides. Oh, it says 2017. That's not right. Did I mess up?
Probably.
It's very
I mean, that does happen. One week you just said the same movies from the week before.
I did.
And almost got away with it until I questioned you at the end.
Should I be concerned about my... Or do I just not give a shit? And that's why things just...
It seems that way.
Well, Tides looks like an interesting movie from 2017, but I don't think I saw it.
This is a great recommendation. I'll recommend you this movie from a different year that I've not seen. That one.
To add it to... I don't know. I'm watching the trailer in silence. I don't know. So...
All right.
Tides can be eliminated from that list if you feel the need.
All right, thank you. Hey, Scully stuff. I've been playing more Cyberpunk, but there's not really much to report. But I want to report that on the 20th of October, which is coming right up, Spider-Man 2 is releasing on the PlayStation, and that's PlayStation's big fall game. Been a big fan of Insomniac's Spider-Man games. And this one, what they did for the last two, the first one was about Peter Parker, the second one was about Miles Morales. Spider-Man 2 is both of them, so you can play as both of them, and they team up to help each other. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where the story goes. Spider-Man 2, it's out 20th of October, only on the PlayStation. Also this week, I became a master plumber. Right?
Master's a bit strong, and plumber is, technically, I suppose.
I didn't play Mario. That's not what it was. But we had a leaky tap in your bathroom.
Yep.
And, I've never done plumbing. You've never done plumbing.
Nope. Don't even know how anything works.
No. So we used the school of YouTube, looked up how to fix it, the faucet dripping. Turns out, how long has it been installed, that faucet set, would you say?
I don't know. Our house was built in 1971.
Like 40 years, maybe? So I bet it's not even been, undone for 40 years. And it sure felt like it when we had to... How did we have to get it off the wall, get the thing undone?
Sheer brute force.
Yeah, brute force.
If you don't know how it works, and nobody probably cares, but there's the faucet knob. So we're not replacing the knobs, but I probably will now that we know stuff. You take off the knob and then you pull out a stem, or some people call it a cartridge. And behind the stem/cartridge is a thing called a seat. The seat screws into the inside of the pipe. Gives it a little bit of a smaller hole. So then you take the stem/cartridge that has a rubber seal at the end, or what's it called?
Washer.
It rests against the seat. So then that goes in, you screw that in,
Stops
you put your knob on. So when you turn your knob back and forth, it moves the stem just enough to let water then go to your spout, right?
Spigot spout. Yeah.
Right. So everything we read said replace the washer, the little rubber band around it, or go ahead and replace the whole thing. To both of us, that was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's no way, right? That's been my approach to shit that I don't understand
I'm not
fully.
a plumber. How do I replace the whole thing?
And my thing is, we're going to break it, and then I'm going to end up spending more because water will be shooting all over the bathroom, right? These are the fears. And then we did a little more research, took a really super close-up picture of our faucet and saw the name engraved on it from the company that made it, thankfully. I emailed the company, and I got a guy named John from Union Brass who created the faucet and makes all the parts. Seriously, there is no comparison to this customer service in today's world. This is going to be my advice for the day. We're going to replace my advice with this. This guy, I read you every email. He explained to me in detail what we need to do.
And then when you had a question and sent a question back, he answered within a few minutes with a really long email of exactly what you need. And he looked up
the parts that we would need for this particular faucet, and he said, send me some pictures. I sent him the pictures. He told me what we have. Potentially inside could be this, that, or the other. He even looked up the local distributor where I could go buy the parts. He sent me their phone number. Gave me the parts numbers, told me the prices they should be, and he was correct. And then I was just like, awesome. We did it. It was difficult at first, right? We couldn't get the thing out of the hole and all that shit. And then we thought it didn't fix it because it kept dripping a little bit. But then what happened?
Then we went to bed last night, left it with a bowl underneath to see if it caught any drips. And this morning, the bowl was completely dry.
Yeah.
So I guess
we did plumbing. And that's not to say like, hey, we're great. We can do it every time.
I mean, it was hardcore, to be fair.
It was.
It's not like something that you would just do. You need the right tools. That's my advice.
Yes. I had to make a couple trips to the tool store.
Yeah.
But still, it was cheaper. Overall, I said I spent $75. And that includes an Allen wrench set that we will use in the future.
Yeah, we got things from it. Yeah.
Ratchet thingy. I don't know all the terms. But actually, the parts for the plumbing cost $38. That was it. If I had hired a plumber, it probably would have been about $300.
I think it would be like $100 just for them to have a look, right?
Not to look, but then $100 an hour, I think it is, or $110. So I'm just saying, if my advice then out of all of this, if you're going to glean anything is, we were talking about, this was part of the before the after show discussion about the plumbing.
Yeah.
We wouldn't then recommend like thinking you can do heart surgery.
No.
Because you read something in a pamphlet or on a website or anything like that. But holy shit, in life, there are so many mechanical things I think I can't fix. I mean, we fixed a digital camera once. We took it completely apart, the tiny little parts, and we put it back together.
Yep.
Why do we think we can't? Right? I could learn to fix my car. Now, that doesn't mean in 5 minutes. I will need a lifetime of being troubleshooting and problems to solve and more tools and more experience. I get that. We're not lame. We're not like, hey, I can start a plumbing business now because I replaced a faucet and a sink thing. No, but
I know enough to be dangerous.
Dangerous as in, yeah, we might tackle a project that's too big, right? But now I'm prepared because I understand the consequences, right? Water, if you turn off your water to your house, that's it. If you turn it off and then you screw up something, you're going to leave your water off till the professional does come and fix it.
Yes. That's the big worry.
Yeah. Or electricity. And you're afraid of electricity, so we'll never do electrical projects.
I mean, I do electrical things.
You do. You replace some lights.
Yeah. I'll do basic things, but I did electrocute myself as a young teenager, and it scared me off electricity. You know?
I'm not laughing because it's funny.
Oh. Well, it threw me across the room, and I could smell burning inside my body.
I mean, I had that at work just like a couple years ago when I touched a plug to a big air conditioner and it went black all around the plug and zapped my hand. But, you know, I'm not whining about it.
I'm whining about it. All right. So, that's what we are. We're master plumbers. What's for dinner?
Tonight we're going to have what I'm calling a nacho bake.
What did I make last night? What was very good?
Oh, my God. It was so delicious. It was not HelloFresh. What's it called? Marley Spoon.
Yeah.
We get meal boxes for like 3 days or 3 nights a week that you love to prepare. And last night was like a pad thai.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was insanely delicious. I mean, seriously. So tonight I have a lot to compete with. I'm making a nacho bake, which will be like hash brown potatoes and we're vegetarian. This is why we're telling you what we're eating, because everyone seems to think you're going to starve to death when you're vegetarian. I can assure you. And if you know me and you've seen me, I'm not short on fat cells or anything else. I'm good. I'm plumped up and I'm a fine, well-fed vegetarian. So it's going to be hash brown potatoes with plant-based crumbles, which is what we call it. It's so like ground up ground beef, but it's plant-based with vegetables, taco seasoning, some tomato-y something mixed in there to give it a little bit of zhuzh, you know, and then have it with chips, nacho chip.
Nacho Libre.
And maybe cheese, but we've discovered lately in the last while that cheese, if it's done really well and delicious, we're into it, but sometimes you don't need it. And that's weird for me. That's not something I would ever have said in my whole life. But it's true. So that's what we're having for dinner. All
right, you've had your advice already, so we're going to move on. ascully.com is the website that you can get this podcast from. Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube, anywhere that podcasts are available. We're on social media, Instagram, X, and Facebook.
X,
and Twitter.
Minus 1.
Do you know that I post this podcast to Pinterest every week? I don't know why, but I always do.
I mean, I don't know that, and probably most people.
No, I don't think anybody does, but for some habit reason, I post it there.
That's really cute.
And it doesn't even have a place to put a podcast, so I just put an image and then a link.
I mean, I still love Pinterest. I still go there and look up stuff, so I don't know why I think it's very old-fashioned.
Yeah. You can email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Sid Talk. She doesn't want your email.
Correct.
And
unless you're a really, really good customer service representative from a company of a product that I need.
And stay classy. Totally killer. How are you supposed to say it?
Like totally killer, man.
Like totally killer, man. Is that it?
No. And I'm going to say, think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, I guarantee you someone is doing it for you.